Hello and welcome to the Dream Team Tonic podcast. As we continue our team reveal series, we'll do a bit of a meet the manager. And today we have got the official ultimate fantasy manager on the pod. He's a TFF champion, so Telegraph Fantasy Football champion, finishing first, second, and eighth. I think I got that right.
Somewhere around there, can't remember.
And for all you guys that are Dream Team players, an impressive 44th on Dream Team as well. So Ultimate Fantasy Manager combines all of the main games, and Jonny Currie came out on top. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm really good. Thanks for having me on, boys.
You feeling prepared?
Well, I've still got a few days, and there's still probably some major injury news to happen to shake all the drafts up. But I feel like I'm getting a grips with, the kind of players I'm going to be putting in come Friday deadline.
You've been busy in this pre-season as well, because not only are you the ultimate fantasy manager, but you've also been building a fantasy tool for FPL, so Solio Analytics. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, so we're launching a new tool. We've brought it out. It's going to be free for the whole month of August. It's out now. FPL.solioanalytics.com. So essentially, we're bringing in market data to give like kind of live projections rather than the sort of mostly like underlying data stuff, and you can tinker around with it as much as you want. So we want to give people, you can really put your own say on it. So if you feel like Arsenal are stronger than that and you want to move their goals up, or even a player's goals, then you can adjust all the goals, all the assists, all the minutes, all the defensive contributions, the new one this year. And really, like, it's your insights. It's the tool itself should be pretty good to start with, but you can really like enhance that experience. So we've launched for start of this season. Very exciting. So it's community driven, self-funded startup, but looking forward to it. It's been crazy the last couple of weeks. I'm a bit tired. So I think it's time to actually figure my teams out as well.
I was gonna say the Solio Analytics, like it's obviously primarily for FPL, but I've been on there at the moment just for Dream Team purposes. You can look at people's expected minutes. You can get an idea of like the sort of clean sheet and goal projections, because there are a few players, even if you're not a data manager, there's a few things where you might want to, for example, I thought Saka over Palmer in my eyes. Then go and look at the projections, see what they're doing, and think, maybe the old Arsenal bias is creeping in a little bit. So I think it gives you a nice bit of perspective as well. You don't have to.
There's team level projections in there as well, so you can draw that out. And I think hopefully in the longer term we'll be branching out into the other formats of the games, maybe even leagues and sports. I don't know how big we're going to get, but just off the bat, FPL, that's one most people play. So very excited.
So we're going to ask, before we start building your team, tell us a little bit about sort of your style of play in Dream Team and the analytics side of things. Because I must say, there was times where, I didn't finish that strong in the end, but there was times where I was quite high last season, and I see your name, and I kept having a little look at the picks you make, and you don't make the usual kind of template picks that normal Dream Team players make. So tell us about your sort of strategy and how you play.
Yeah, I think towards the end of the season, if you're in the shout for, a top finish or a prize spot, then you can make those different picks for a specific reason. Like, I'm trying to differentiate from the field. But I think off the bat, I'm normally just not really looking at who everyone else is picking too much. I'm quite like convinced by my own methods, which is very data driven. So with a few friends in our analytics Discord server, we've got like a projection model that has data on goals, assists, all this stuff. Obviously, we've transported a lot of it over to the Solio one, but there's different scoring mechanics obviously here with the bonus. So we've got an optimization solver that allows you to kind of like generate possible paths or solutions, or like a team you might want to start with, and then how does it react if this guy gets injured, or if I give it, half the transfers available, what kind of moves is it going to make? So when I was solving just to try and get a few ideas for this today, then I can see like, okay, it's not going to start with Watkins and Wood, but I probably want to keep an eye on them for 4 or 5 game weeks in, once Villa and Forest start playing their European games. But at the start, it wants to kind of pick the guys who've got that early cup game, which I think is something you can figure out yourself, but you can kind of like generate these ideas and solutions and simulate it and kind of see what the data's telling you and tinker with it and kind of basically poke the plan and see if it breaks, so that I can kind of build something that I'm happy with, and I know, okay, if this happens, then my team's well set to react. And a bit less individual focus on the player assessment. So I'm still watching games and trying to work out who's playing where, and but if I'm trying to like really evaluate which team I think is doing better, then my input is only moving the needle slightly on what the data's saying on how good Liverpool attack is, what the markets are saying on how many goals they're going to score. So it's really sort of deriving from that, and then you start playing around, and occasionally the solutions are all quite similar, and you just pick whichever one you fancy, or you start looking at, if I'm in a good position and I think I was trying to catch Fergie from the hub towards the end, so I was kind of reading his articles and seeing who he's going to pick, and maybe try and go, okay, well, if I'm trying to catch him, I maybe want to go different. If I was 50-50, and if I'm ahead, maybe I might cover that off if it's a 50-50. But I think it just ends up with a lot of these players who aren't as exciting to watch because they just do the bonus points a lot. I think this is something that people in FPL are going to start to realize with all these tackle points. So Yuri Tielemans was a guy who I had for a long period towards the end of the season, because I figured he was going to be playing all the Villa minutes, and I wasn't as sure about like a Rashford or a Marlon or a I think I did have Rodgers for some of it. I can't remember, but I was like, I think this guy's just gonna keep ticking over, and I don't have to move it, and I don't think anyone's got him, and I'm pretty convinced that he'll get some good points. So then he got a couple goals, and you get lucky that way rather than picking this mysterious guy who's people aren't sure about, but he's this attacking winger and he looks really exciting. I think I've got more question marks about, is he definitely going to be playing the next game? Is he going to be a problem I need to deal with? So you kind of end up in a slightly different spot in terms of the team, more so than like seeking it out, at least at the start, because actually, as the price changes go, you end up trying to follow other people too. And a lot of the picks are all very similar, but sometimes I get a Yuri Tielemans in there that no one else has, and it's very satisfying when he scores.
I think I saw you go for Declan Rice at one point as well, and I think I was sort of starting to think, oh, he seems a bit steady, or he seems to be ticking along all right. And then I think I see you do it, and I thought, it must be onto something here.
What was it? Oh, I captained Ndiaye one week as well. It was because their cup game was on like the Thursday, so like they were the only team doubling. It might have been Fulham or something as well. And I was like, yeah, this guy's just, he gets bonus points and he's on pens. He doesn't do anything else, but if I get a pen, and he might get injured or something, but that's more fun. I'm excited by picking something that people might think is a bit silly, rather than picking someone that when I watch the game is, oh, this guy's getting all these chances. Like I'm excited by the football anyway. I'll just pick something a bit odd. I'm not sure if I've put many of them in my draft actually, but we'll see. Maybe they are exciting.
Well, you sent your team over to us, and me and Ben were chatting at one point, and straight away we were like, "Wow!" Like, what was your thought, Ben?
In a good way. Different. That's quite a different team to what I would have thought you would have gone for. So quite interesting. Everyone will be quite interested to see what you pick.
I've not seen it.
Yeah. And I'm looking at it and wondering what's so interesting about it, just because I've come to it from a different method. But yeah.
Well, Tony, do you want to steer the ship, go position by position? I'll press these buttons and start putting people in. That sound all right?
Me? Sorry, what? What do you want me to do?
Do you want to prompt Jonny for a position by position?
Well, sorry. Sorry.
You do the talking.
I was thinking, I've not got control of that screen.
No, I'll push the buttons.
And do you know who's in it either?
I don't know who's in it either, which is
we'll find out.
Even more fun.
Go on then, Jonny. First up,
all right.
who's in that goal?
I don't really like any of the keepers, to be honest. I think the keepers are like, that might be what a lot of people are saying, but it's more of a, I think if we were sure about who the Leeds keeper was, I'd probably put him in, but I think I'm more likely to pick, it's Pickford. I'll put Pickford in basically, so you can start clicking. But Perry, I think, was one I was quite interested in when he signed, but hasn't started yet. And I think Darlow will start, and then Perry will start after that. But I feel like I'm gonna need that transfer, and I'm gonna do it a week late. So you get a game week with no keeper, then you have to move it, and it's quite hard to guess when the keeper swap happens. Bob Sanchez is one I was looking at as well, as a kind of like just stick him in for the long haul, because his Chelsea's fixtures are pretty good. But I'm just not quite sure. Jorgensen was playing a lot of the other games. I know they're in Champions League now, not Conference League, but cup games. I just don't think he'd be getting any of those.
He's always got a clanger in him, hasn't he, Sanchez, as well?
Yeah, and he might even just not be the starting keeper in 4 or 5 weeks' time. So he comes up quite well when I was doing the simulations and stuff, but I might have him in FPL or something. But I think actually Pickford, I like their first game. And I think looking at who played the round 2 of the League Cup last year, Pickford started. It's a different manager now, but actually Moyes played a strong team at West Ham and is now the Everton manager. So I'd have a fairly good bet that, I mean, the round 1 game is tomorrow, like the Tuesday games. And then we're recording on a Monday just to timestamp it. So round 1's tomorrow, then the draw. So I don't actually know what draw would make me think that Pickford's more or less likely to play, but I feel like I'm waiting to see if they get a League 2 team or a Championship team. But I think he's quite a good one to start with, and then I can move off and kind of figure out who I want. I think Matt Sells might be one I'd want a bit further down the line, but I think I'll go for someone who I think's probably got the cup game, and then look to swap to like a Raya if I've got the money, or someone who's going to be playing most of the European games.
Yeah.
But Everton defense pretty strong, I think. Yeah, but it was more of a I've got about that much money left and don't like anybody.
Yeah, we're going from back to front. But I guess that's not necessarily the way that you plan your teams out.
Yeah, I think normally like keepers one of the last spots. But I just try and get an extra fixture. But I've also got Tarkowski. If we jump forward, I saw you click to type in. So I do have double Everton defense, which I don't know how excited I am about that. But yeah, again, similar. I think he's pretty strong. He does pretty well on some of the tackle points and stuff. He's got a goal in him. He scored that one in the Merseyside derby last year. Everyone remembers. Screamer as well. No, I know.
He's a danger in that other box, and he gets his own quite a lot.
I think. I think if I thought that like Branthwaite or O'Brien was more likely to play the cup game, I think I'd try and get the extra fixture out of them. But I'm not sure if any of them are particularly more likely to. So it's more just Everton defense. I think the fixtures are quite good at the start, and then I can look to move him over to maybe like a Palace defender or someone after that.
That's what I was going to ask actually. Would the model sort of put Tarkowski way above like the other options, maybe on minutes, or is that just
as in above the other Everton options?
Yeah, like say O'Brien, for example, would they be very close on predicted points? Anyway,
they'll be pretty similar, but I think it's more the just the goal threat coming from Tarkowski that I think puts him just a little bit above. I think he's slightly better for some of the bonus stuff as well. But again, this is something I'd probably see how the pieces fit together, see how the kind of teams fit together, and then I'll dig in through the week. And if I pick out that maybe Branthwaite is actually getting further forward and then I've underrated his attacking threat, I can figure that out. But if I'm not picking an Everton defender, then I don't need to worry about that too much. So it'd be figure out the pieces I want and then I'll really drill in. But I'd be pretty happy with Tarkowski. I think I had him for periods last season. I think he's pretty good. And then I've got Porro as the next one I've started with. I think he's so good in this game. He does all the bonus stuff. He's a bit like Bruno Fernandes is the one across a lot of games who just seems to get 5 or 6 point blanks basically. And Porro seems to be the only defender who can really do that. And I think Burnley up first is just too good to kind of pass up on. And if I can sell him game week 2, if there's someone to move on to or some fixtures, or I can hop to Munoz, or the price changes are working that way, then I'll happily move him on. But if not, then I think after City, he's got a period of actually being kind of okay. So I thought it was City, then it's like Bournemouth, and then you start hitting Cup and European stuff. And with Maddison out as well, I think his set piece, he tended to get bonus more when Maddison wasn't playing, because Maddison took all the set pieces. So with Maddison out for, well, God knows how long, sadly for him, unfortunate for Porro, that helps his a bit as well. But yeah, again, I think defense was kind of, I think I had the money for someone expensive, and I thought I'd put him in. But I know he's a bit of a dream team.
Yeah, that one won't be a surprise to most of the listeners. I think it's just the money, isn't it? That's the only part.
Yeah, I'm not set on him. It's not like I think he's so good that I've tried to build the team around him. It's more of I think I found enough other spots that I've got the money for it. If I decided I didn't want him, then I wouldn't be like getting FOMO or feeling like everyone's going to have him. I don't actually know what his ownership is. I guess it's quite high, but
just 6%.
6%. All right, well, fair enough. Well, I found a differential then. And then we've got Williams for Forest.
I think this was the first one. Maybe the double Everton might have raised.
Right, okay.
You
don't like Williams? Or
I don't dislike him at all. Price, it's the price. I think it's quite an expensive defense.
3.5. Yeah. So I think the other Forest guys are 4. Is that right? So he's the one that's a bit cheaper.
Strong defense though.
Yeah, and then I've got another fourth. I've got Goodmanson. I'll throw him in since we're building the full. I've got a 4 at the back. He's not as strong a defender, but he's only 2 million. So Williams is one that I think is someone I'm going to want. I'm going to want a Forest defender like in game week 3-4 ish. But his fixtures off the start are actually quite good. So I'd be happy to kind of like start with him, and it lets me put a bit more money in some of the premium attackers, because I don't think there's as many like 3.5 million mids that I might want for that sort of price. But yeah, he's not one I'd be totally set on. And I know that I think they were rumoured in for Leif Davis, who I assume would be like,
I saw that,
as a backup. But at the minute, they don't really have any other fullbacks. They've got Williams and Aina. So, and he runs all day. Like Williams is pretty.
His tackle number's quite good, I think, as well.
Yeah, so I can see him just playing all the games. Yep. And he pops up with assists and goals every now and then. So I like him as a pick, but yeah, I think it was more of a trying to put enough players in that I'd be happy if I wasn't able to move them on. And then either in game week, 4 or 5, I've either made all the moves I wanted to because I didn't have too many fires to fight or hadn't booked too much stuff in, or I've got the team I already wanted and I've got rolled some transfers up, which we can do this year finally. I think I just did 2 every week last season. I don't think I rolled at any point.
Yeah, we ought to ask about the effect of that. Maybe we'll save that to the end. The effect of having those extra transfers and how that might weigh into your planning.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've got a great answer for it. So we'll but yeah. I mean, it will. I think it's off the start. Well, yeah, we'll come back to the end. So that's my defense. So was it Williams you were most interested in?
What do you think, Tony? Because you've not seen yet.
Yeah,
it's different. I like Porro. Yeah. I do. If you can fit him in, I think, especially like you say with that plum fixture. First off, I get why if you're going analytical about it, like the Pickford, Torakowski, especially for the first up with that game. Some might see that Leeds are a little bit toothless, maybe coming into a Premier League season. I think they are short of a striker. It could easily be a nice double up clean sheet straight off the bat, and then back into a double game week for Everton. So it's different. I mean, Goodmanson, yeah.
Oh, I don't really like him either, but
no.
need some budget saving.
Well, yeah. I
Losing
mean, I
2-0 and
suppose Goodmanson's probably going to explain a little bit further on.
yeah. Yes, if I was building it from the back, I wouldn't have gone, oh, great, Goodmanson, I want him, put him in. But I think he's okay at the start, and yeah, he's got some okay attacking numbers. And if again, Leeds Everton 0-0, I'm smiling.
Oh, perfect, isn't it?
But also,
you can probably see that between Everton and Leeds. Like Everton were shocking against us at Ewood Park. I think we beat them 1-0. So, and they didn't create much. You could easily see that as a 0-0. And like you say, that's a nice little start, that, isn't it?
I think, and like, it's not like I'm expecting a 0-0. Like a 0-0s are kind of rare enough. But even a clean sheet on either side. But it's kind of like, okay, like it's a good enough fixture. I can probably get a clean sheet on one of them, and then they've both got the cup games the following week, and I think they're probably guys who are going to play in the cup based on looking at last season. Whereas some of the other guys who it's maybe more interested in, who I think they just rotate.
Yeah.
I think if I had more money in defense, I was looking at Cucurella briefly as well. I think he's a bit like Bob Sanchez in terms of just like I just put a Chelsea guy, good fixtures, have him ready for when they come in. But maybe that's who Porro moves to, or Williams or something like that. But ran out of money, so
we've got two more familiar ones. We'll go with the two big hitters.
Bruno and Palmer, I assume, is in most people's. Well, Palmer especially. I think just Palmer's very good.
So why are these two? Because like we've just been like sort of doing this to death on our team reveal episode that we just filmed before, because it's kind of like I can't decide on which premiums, so I'm trying to fit them all in, and the rest of my team's crap. Tony's been pretty ruthless, and he's taken an approach where he's just chose a couple and spread the money. And then Ben, you're probably in the middle, would you say?
I've got 4, haven't I? 4 out of the 5. You've got 5.
So I've got 5, have I? Who are the 5?
No, I've stuck.
You've got 5. I was like, I'm sure I don't. I can't
my
remember.
defense is looking a shambles.
Okay,
so
right.
Why these two? Why these two, Bruno and Palmer, over the others?
They're just too good, I think. Like, I've got another one up front, which we'll get to, but I think especially with the League Cup for Bruno, I'd expect Amorim to play Bruno in that game. Maybe he doesn't, but he's the only premium who's going to have that double game week or possibility. I think he played a lot of the early rounds last time, and again, he's that kind of guy who can blank with 5 or 6 points, just not actually get a goal or return, but just picks up points all the time. He kind of ruined me in the last season when I tried to be a bit different and tried to bet that Man United would go out the Europa League, and they kept winning in extra time and getting another team getting red cards. Just go out. Like, I've got to make a decision now and not to buy him, and he kept getting points. So I think he's one I'll start with, but I will then move on. I think he's not so good that once the European teams are playing twice a week and he's not, that I'll want to keep in for that price. Maybe he's dropped in price by then. Maybe he's 5 million. But I think for the first 2 or 3 weeks, certainly I'd want to put him in, and then he's probably the route where I will either redistribute the funds or go and get a different premium. So if I want both of the, if I want Salah and Haaland, whereas Palmer, I think, is just going to be there till he gets injured, basically. But I think they're just so strong, and I think Bruno's got Burnley in game week 3 or whatever it was as well, and probably a captaincy option in certainly in that double game week.
It might be back-to-back, I suppose.
When they play Fulham and whoever they draw. But I think it was just quite important for me to get them in. I think they'd just score enough points to warrant picking for the back. Bruno and Palmer.
And
then who's next?
This is two more enabling ones. So
I've got Paquetá and Enzo Fernandez at the minute. These could be anybody, really. I think I do quite like West Ham off the bat with Sunderland, and I think they again, yeah, I'm picking up the round 2. I feel like none of my players are going to play, and I'm going to feel very silly that I went for so many of them. But they played pretty strong team in round 2 of the cup last year. New manager, I suppose, but I think Paquetá's going to be taking penalties most likely. So he does. He's kind of this like, I guess these are the kind of like all action, nothing flashy midfielders who do a bit of everything but aren't any specifically good at one thing. So they've not got really high goal threat. They're not hitting bonus all the time, but both of them will just keep ticking over. I'm pretty sure Enzo, apart from like some of the guys for Chelsea who played like half the games, or Nico Jackson, I think he had the most points per game after Palmer for Chelsea. So I think he was a bit overlooked.
He had a surprising
maybe.
amount of attacker returns.
He gets, and I don't know if he'll keep up that level, but I think it was just someone who I thought actually, like, again, he's just going to be playing almost all the minutes. He's a bit expensive at 4.5, but I just couldn't really find a midfielder that I liked in around that price. So he might go down to make Goodmanson move up, and maybe I'll get like, you know, another 2 midfielders who are like 3.5. Some of the more interesting guys who I think maybe if they are going to get a cup game. But I think these 2 are both ones who I'd be quite happy if I had fires elsewhere and I had to leave them in for a bit longer. Is kind of how I'm trying to make the picks for game week 1. Is, you know, if they're the guy who is dropping 0.3 and I need to move them on, fine. But they also need to be able to be the one that I get stuck with for a bit longer, and they'll be kind of happy with that. But yeah, not set on these 2. They were just guys I quite liked. I think also, yeah, I imagine they're not going to be that well picked. So maybe that's a bit more interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I've not seen them in many teams. I have seen people speak about Paquetá because of the pens, I think, is one of the main things. But Enzo I'd looked at if I didn't want to have Palmer, but I just not got the balls to go without Palmer. So it'd be instead of, not as well as.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Paquetá. Like you say, he's all action, isn't he? He's involved in everything. Penalties, if he's still on them. Nice fixture first up. He's not a bad pick. I like him.
Yeah, he's only 3.5 as well.
Yeah, good value that, I think.
That lets me stack slightly with the forward. I've got Salah and Bowen. Get them both out of the way. This is where all the money goes. So I get to double up on West Ham attack, which people should be very excited about. Obviously, they were very, very potent. They're not. Sorry, West Ham fans, but yeah, I mean they're both very good. And Sunderland up first, and then a double game week where I think they'll probably play a strongish team. Given the squad's not super strong, I think Bowen just is going to be playing 90s pretty much all the time. He's basically playing up front at the minute. I know they've got Fulkrug. They're kind of playing like a 5-3-2. But I think he's also one that, I think for the price, like I don't want him after game week 3 or 4. Like once you start getting to players of a similar price having double game weeks and him not, then it's just not good enough for that price. But off the bat, I think Sunderland in a double game week. And Salah, I think, is just too good for game week 1 not to have. I think he's the best captaincy option. I would captain Palmer. I think Palmer's probably going to be my vice. But I think Salah's he's very good.
We've just been having that chat as well. Does the model say that Salah's been a bit too wide, or over 33 he gets a dip in?
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of stuff people do, not so much for fantasy football, but in terms of like player recruitment, there's a lot of looking into like age curves and as people start to drop off at what point. But Salah just doesn't seem to have done that. So obviously it's going to happen at some point. He's not going to be 40 and still he's not getting better. But even with all these new signings that obviously I think makes all attacks better, like he's been in several different shapes and structures of Liverpool attacks and put up pretty similar numbers. in terms of his output for what 5-6 seasons, however long he's been there. So I don't think I should expect this particular Liverpool attack to be one that he's not going to do well in. So it would be more the age curve thing in terms of like, is he going to start? I don't think he's going to fall off a cliff at any point. He's not just going to plummet and be rubbish. But is he going to start not being able to play all the games, 90 minutes every game? He's going to start getting some 70, 75-minute subs a bit more. Now they've got a few more options. Is he going to be coming off the bench in a few more of the midweek games? But so far, he just seems to just keep, I don't know, everyone who seems to doubt him at the start of the season seems to look a bit silly. So maybe eventually the people who doubt him will be right. But yeah, I think him or Haaland, I think it's hard to choose between the two. But I'll probably start with Salah to start with. And then, I don't know, once you start building a bit more budget, you can start to get to both. I think I feel, not that I'm afraid of not owning anyone, but I feel quite happy not owning Haaland. Whereas if I don't own Salah, I'm a bit more like, gosh, he could just explode on me. Whereas I'm sure Haaland's done it as well. I've had that in other games before. I think it was FPL. I didn't own Haaland for his 4 goals against Wolves when everyone had captained him, and he can do that. But yeah, I don't know. More sure in Liverpool's attack than I am in City's, which is still kind of. I mean, there's all these new pieces, obviously, at Liverpool, but City's is not dissimilar. With Reinders and Savio maybe off.
Well, I think I've gone exactly opposite to Jonny there. Like with the Salah and Haaland thing, I think it is flip a coin. I think if you're going to have just one, it's whatever you feel more comfortable. I just, like I say, I probably do trust the Liverpool attack a little bit more, but for that reason, I think for me, I've gone for Gakpo to try and cover the Salah and then go with Haaland. Because I think if City are going to score goals, I think Haaland, well, he's the one who usually puts it back at net.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do anything else, but that's
he's quite good at that one thing.
Yeah. So, it's scary going without either of them, but I'm pretty much where you are. So I've got Haaland, Bowen, and Gakpo. Gakpo pretty much to cover. So where your Fernandes is, that's Gakpo for me. To try and say, well, look, Liverpool are going to score goals. I'm just hoping they come through either Ekitike, Verts, Gakpo, and rather than Salah. But it's such a... it doesn't feel great doing it, but...
I mean, I guess that's kind of the point at the start of the season, is if we're not having to make any compromises, the game's a bit boring. So I'm happy that I can't fit them all in some ways.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, what are we doing? But yeah, I think I probably don't want both. I think they are too expensive for what they are. And like, it's not like I need both in order to cover off different captaincies. I think actually, like with Bruno and Palmer in there, then like I can cover pretty much any captaincy week that I need to start with. And obviously the team changes quite a lot. Like I'm getting 2 transfers a week and I've got 11 players, then within 3 weeks I've changed half the team. So you can move around. I know you kind of build momentum and you're a little bit stuck and there's no wild card to kind of like quickly accelerate it. But you can early on in the season quite quickly move off players if you need to, as long as you're not sort of like taking yourself into blind corners or getting stuck with. I think that's what I'm slightly worried about Goodmanson going all the way down to 2 is having to like make 2 transfers in order to move him out. But hopefully he's fine for the first 2. So the Everton game and then the League Cup game week, and then figure it out from there. So yeah, not sure, but
like I say, is that the of a 2 millionaire? Just if he loses value, you end up stuck. You have to grab that value from somebody else. It is a 2 transfer move, but I think that's why I play the keeper cheap first and foremost, and then you try and leave that little bit of leeway in the other players that if they do have a bad week and they're going down, where's your pivot point? Where can you move to? So when we look at Williams, is he 3.5?
Yeah.
If things go wrong, I mean, you've got somewhat many options, haven't you?
Hopefully. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, you should at that price point
Yeah.
be able to just pivot quite nicely. But
Give Salah your armband there. Can't leave that on Pickford.
Oh, thank you. I'll leave the vice captain on Tarkowski then. I think that'll play. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where we are at the minute. But again, yeah, could be lots of changes. Isak might sign by Friday. I think if we get word that, because Dubravka at Burnley is another keeper who's obviously 2 million, who if we get word that he is going to be starting the first game, I might end up going with him. But I think the fact that Burnley and Leeds keepers are the first choice is probably not going to start game week 1, but then come in a couple of weeks. I think I just want to stick away from them. And the Sunderland keeper's 2 million as well, Roofs, whatever his name is. But I'm not sure if I can bring myself to put especially with double West Ham attack, probably shouldn't be put the Sunderland keeper in. But I just don't think they're strong enough.
I see it now. You're going to end up with
like 1.5.
You're going to have Everton versus West Ham in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, probably. Or Roof saves a penalty and Rodon scores for Leeds or something. Be very silly. Yeah. If Rodon and Branthwaite goals for a 1-1, and I've just missed it all. We'll see. Fantasy football finds fun ways to punish you, doesn't it? Sorry,
I think it's a good team. I like it. Just the Goodmanson pick. I don't really know much about him. Is he signed from Lille? This season?
I think so. Yeah, he's the new signing to play left back. And some of the Leeds fans I know who I've been chatting to seem pretty hot on him. Whereas I think I probably would rather have got one of the centre backs, so like Joe Rodon maybe. But I think it's a little bit more up in the air. So it's probably going to be Rodon and Biol, or whatever his name, Bijol, that new signing. But Biol is suspended for the first Premier League game. So it'll be Strauch or some other new signing, forgot his name. And then Biol should come back in, but you might come back in for Rodon, and it's a bit more up in the air. Whereas I think Goodmanson my friends seem to, I'll blame them if not. Seem to be pretty sure. You can't know all the teams. You got to talk to your mates about some of them, but they seem pretty hot on Goodmanson as he's going to be the left back. So he's got a bit of attacking threat. I think actually Leeds defense is Leeds is one of the best teams that's been promoted in a long time in terms of their squad, in terms of how well they did in the Championship. And I think their defense was kind of on par with Burnley's. It was just that Burnley
keeper
Trafford made so many saves and Meslier did the opposite, just let them all in. So actually, with the new keeper, I think I'm not saying a newly promoted team's defense is going to be good, but I don't think it's going to be the
maybe
pushover that we've had come up before. So maybe, but he's more of a punt and more of a I'll run out of money type pick. But we'll see. Yeah, because they got Arsenal away game week 2, but
not great.
Got to hope for a good draw against, I don't know.
We'll have to
lowly League 2 team.
Have to keep an eye, see how you're getting on, because it is different. It is interesting, and I think we did say we'll do another pod with you a couple of weeks into the season or a little way in and see how it's going, because I think we could do a lot more on your methods and how you build throughout the season as well, because like we said, the transfers has changed. You'll probably, I'd imagine, have a much further path than some managers potentially.
I think sometimes it's almost being ready to take any path. So I want to set the team so it's flexible. rather than, because like with all the price changes here, like the path is all different and teams go through in the cup or whatever. Whereas I think in stuff like Telegraph or the old Sky game with no price changes in the fixtures, and you can kind of plan where you're gonna move off them, then you get these like chains and paths that you can really plan for. Whereas here it's a bit, I loved Dream Team last year. It was just chaotic at the start, especially with just all these price changes going all over the place and double game weeks every week and all these points. So it's almost just trying to be like, okay, I need a robust, strong team that will stand up to all manner of things that can come up to it. But yeah, we'll see. I think hopefully this will do that for me.
Well, you want to give a quick plug where we can find you on social media platforms, and also a last one to Solio, and
yeah,
sure.
Get
on there.
So I'm not as active on Twitter, but I've been back on a little bit more, or X, I suppose. FPL_Spaceman. I can't remember where that name came from, but people start to know you buy it and you can't change it, can you? Or I'm Jonny C. .bsky.social on Blue Sky. I post a bit more over there. And yeah, Solio Analytics on Twitter and Blue Sky, and solioanalytics.com, the website. If you want to come check out our new tool.
Lovely. Well, we'll see you soon, and good luck for the start of the season.
Thanks, and to you boys.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.